Your body is created from a billion perfect factors of goodness. Your speech satisfies the yearning of countless sentient beings. Your mind perceives all objects of knowledge exactly as they are. I bow my head to you, O chief of the Shaka clan. You are the most excellent sons of such peerless teacher. You carry the burden of the enlightened activities of all conquerors, and in countless realms you engage in ecstatic display of emanations. I pay homage to you, O Maitreya and Manjushri. So difficult to fathom is the mother of all conquerors. You who unravel its contents as it is are the jewels of the world. You are heralded with great fame in all three spheres of the world. I pay homage to you, Nagarjuna and Asanga. Stemming from these two great charities with excellence are the two parts of the profound view and the vast conduct. You are the custodian of the treasury of instructions encompassing all essential points of these parts without error. I pay homage to you, O Dibamkara. You are the eyes to see all the myriad collections of scriptures. To the fortunate ones traveling to freedom, you illuminate the excellent path. You do this through skillful deeds, try to forth by compassion. I pay respectful homage to you, O all my spiritual mentors. I bow down to the mother of the conquerors of the three times, the perfection of wisdom inexpressible by words or thoughts, which is unproduced and unceased like an entity of the sky, the object of wisdom of unique knowledge. Teatha kate kate parakate parasamkate puti soha. Teatha kate kate parakate parasamkate puti soha. Teatha kate kate parakate parasamkate puti soha. May all negative forces opposed to dharma be completely pacified. May all the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified. May we be separate from problems and harmful conditions to dharma. May all enjoyment to be in accord with the dharma. And may there be auspiciousness and perfect happiness here right now. By the knower of all, hearers seeking pacification are led to peace. By the knower of paths, those benefiting migrating beings accomplish with the welfare of the old. By the perfect possessions of it, the subduer, each the verity's possession all aspects. To these mothers of the Buddhas, together with the host of hearers and bodhisattvas, homage. He who taught dependent origination, no cessation and no origination, no inhalation and no permanence, no coming and no going, neither difference nor same, these through coming of conceptual elaborations to you who is supreme speaker of all fully enlightened Buddhas, I pay homage. Mandala open. Oh. Sai bi ki zoi ji ai me ai to chan ri ra ni shi ni ai de ai ge ai ba ti sa ge shi tu mi te bi wa yi do yu gu yin dai xin la zi ba so yi dam guru ratna pendala kamniya taya me. Taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation I create through teaching to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation I create through teaching the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation I create through teaching the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel the perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I make prostration. Namo Alhaye Keda Luda Nijinji Tebunda Dami Kenanda Dwa Kunji Tanan Chisam Tamje Keto Taji Chuten To Ranja Songra Kun La Tawe Mi Kesan Taba Tepe Chumo Cho Tsewe Kyun Tabje Tsebai Seze Shini Namla Kwebe Tu. Okay, so today stanza we are 21. Right? Stanza 21 is starting uh, what you call the training the mind in the part of person of highest capacity, great capacity. So we finish the training the mind in the part of person of small capacity, right? Training the mind in the part of person of share with medium capacity. These two practice we finish. Now this is great capacity. So I just want to go a little bit on these two because these two states are very, very important as ordinary practitioners. You know, the first, mainly the small capacity are the practitioners. You know, they share with a part of small capacities. So share with a part of the small capacity, which means this practice is the common practice of the practice who practicing on medium capacity or practicing on great capacity. So they're all common practice. This is the foundation practice of the medium and great capacity, which means without enough experience, without enough accomplished, right, the realization of the share with the part of small capacity, the medium and great capacity may difficult, may hard to achieve. That is why the first, as a practitioner, we should really, really try, to achieve the realization of the part of the share of small capacity and medium capacity. The small capacity, the main, like a main concern is after getting after having guru devotion and precious human life, and as a practitioner, you're connected to the Dharma, and you have a very important object, we call the merit objects for accumulate your merits and purify obstacle, which is the gurus, right? The gurus are one of the best objects for the practitioner to accumulate merits and to purify the obstacle. That's why the guru devotion, having guru, is huge benefit, huge important. But at the same time, there's a risk. So don't hurry. I quite often in telling these things, don't hurry to see him or her as your gurus. Wait, right? Wait, investigate. Do that person, do he or she has qualified or not? Uh, because problem is sometimes some practitioner very exciting. Oh, this is guru is giving something empowerment, initiation. They run without knowing anything, right? Then taking initiation empowerment after few years, maybe something, then you have some problem with this. That's not good. That's really not good. If your devotion is lap, right? Then will affect the whole your practice. The rest of all the realization will really obstruct you. So rather, don't hurry, wait. But the wait doesn't mean not take a teaching from them. You can take a teaching, you can listen. But when you're listening, teaching from them, not out of intentions of seeing him or her as a guru, right? Your intention should keep dharma friends, because sometimes narrow-minded also problems. We need to open-minded. So the narrow-minded is also one guru and just not listening any other thing. That's also sometimes it's not good. Many things you do not know, right? So it need to be open. Same time, you have to be very skeptical. That's why open-minded listening, but not seeing him or her as your gurus, right? That's I mentioned many times. So I don't need to go again and again, because this is one of the biggest problems, specific to people who have some kind of like some already culturally Buddhist, and we just run one great his eminence or his uh, the title which we use, right? So people follow with, oh, this is Geshe, or this is Rinpoche, or this is something. Then we just, without checking, invest, just follow. That's not good, which is the Lama Tsongkhapa Maitreya himself saying, like, what are the guru's qualities, right? Specific for the Mahayana Buddhism, right? The Mahayana guru's qualities, Vajrayana guru's qualities, right? Understand, then investigate. So finally, guru, and after the precious human life, what you have a desire to really utilize your precious human life meaningful, right? Meaningful, what is that meaningful? Meaningful means there are number of things. First, at least, for our next life, be born into higher rebirth, precious human life, right? Then next meaningful is liberation, freedom of samsara. Then highest meaningful, which is enlightenment, Buddhahood, right? There are three different types of the goal which we have. So then when you have that desire, means I'm not going to use this precious human life just for money, just for power, just for material, right? I was going to use this more important, more higher level, meaningful. So at least to my future life should born into higher rebirths, right? So in order to have that type of desire, right, that type of desire, wish to achieve higher rebirth, then what you need to know, really understanding the suffering of three lower realms. That's very, very important. So suffering of hell realm, hungry ghosts, animals, right? At least three lower realm suffering. When we meditate, I mentioned you put your feet to their shoes, right? If I born into dog, if I born in fish, if I born in something else, what can I do now? So much suffer, right? That's how we meditate. So put it your feet into their shoes and feel that suffering, that kind of problems. And through that, at least I really need to plan to my next life should be higher rebirths, right? That kind of desire. Mainly feel fear concerned to all the suffering of three lower realms and seeking oneself to achieve higher rebirths. That's the main practice, that the intention matters. If you do not have that intention, then you need to practice, right? If you feel this, do you really feel you really concern suffering of three lower realms and born into precious and a higher rebirth? Do you really feel or not? That's how you need to check it, right? That feeling, that feeling, if you do not have that, then you will not going to put your life, you will not going to use your life for achieving a higher rebirth. In order to use your precious human life to for achieve higher rebirth, you have to have desire, right, from deep of your heart. So you know every day-to-day life, do you really feel concerned that? Or you always worry about money? You always worry about what you call your job, your family, or your materialistic. If your mind is go more into worry only about these things, that means something wrong, right? That means what that means? That means you do not have enough meditate on death meditation, right? That is why first death meditation. Death is certain, time of death is uncertain. At the time of death, nobody can help, which means the things which you worry, right? Things which you worry about your family, about your money, about your job, all this, none of these things can help you, right? Through this meditation, you have less attached to these things. That's the point. Less attached to this. So when you have less attached to materialistic things, then your mind is more thinking furthermore. Right now, we cannot able to think, able to plan our further future life because our mind is so stuck with these material things. That is why first death meditation, right? So when you're doing this death meditation, goal is not just death is certain time out, not only that way. Mainly whatever you meditate, do these meditation, do they really helps you? Something a little bit less concern about materialistic, less attached to your families, to your foods, to your whatever this, shelters, your reputations. If there really something, your attachments really changing or not, if they're not changing, that means your death meditation still not yet working. You have to really carefully to think. Maybe sometime with just death meditation will not apply to oneself. It just, oh, death will, one day everybody will die. This, it's kind of like that will go. It's just on the space. That will not that much help you. You put your feet in there. One day I will going to die, right? That's how you have to apply to yourself to feel something concern. So that feeling, if it really helps to reduce your attach, to these material things, less attach or not think about materials, two different things. Not attached to material doesn't mean you don't eat, you don't work, you don't do this or that. It doesn't mean that, right? Going to work, making money, all these things are the sake of my next life, higher rebirth. These are not my goal, but this is some kind of tool I can survive. I can have time to do the practice. I have enough money. If I have enough money, then I don't need to go run after the money. I can use my time is for dharma. Right? That's what I need. It's not like this is the only. It's very different. So that's why that meditation helps to reduce attach to the materialistic. That's the first, right? Then next, okay, if I'm going to die, but the next plan, what is my next plan? Or next plan, as long as living under the influence of destructive emotion, of course, no doubt, I will going to born into samsara, right? That's no doubt. I will go to born into samsara. Samsara, two choice, lower rim, higher rims, right? Only two. If I fall down into lower rims, finish. Then for maybe few eons of life, few centuries, maybe finish, right? No chance. Very difficult. So that's why, if what kind of confidence you have right now, you're not going to born into lower rims, right? You do not have any confidence. So that's why you really concern, I have to really now plan for my next life, at least born into precious higher rebirths, right? That's why suffering of three lower rims. After the death meditation, you think about all the suffering of three lower rims, then you should, I really need to do something. I really need to use this precious life to get something higher rebirth, right? Then after these things comes, okay, who can save me? Who can help me to get rid of my lower rim sufferings, right? So money will not going to save. My family cannot able to save me. My reputation, my fame, whatever attached you have right now, those objects, none of those objects can save me, right, from suffering of three lower rims. Only Buddha Dharma Sangha. It's the only way. Mainly who save you? Dharma is the one. Dharma is the one who saved me, right? Dharma, I mentioned last time, we don't need to go again. So actual my savior is Dharma. In order to have Dharma, I need to have Buddha and Sanghas. Buddha helps me to understand the Dharma. Sangha helps me to support, to generate Dharma within me. So I need to rely on only the three precious jewels. This is the only can save. None of others can able to save me, right? That's how you show your faith of convinced to the three jewels. Without them, none of things can sell. That kind of confidence, that kind of belief, trust, right? That kind of confidence when you're able to show, that's called taking refuge, right? So you rely on three precious jewels for mainly your concern suffering of three lower rims. I rely on Buddha Dhamma Sangha. It's not because of money, because of power, right? Because of material things. It's because of suffering of three lower rims. So early morning, when you wake up, when you take refuge, rely on, I go for refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. When you say this from your heart, for the beginner, the small scope practitioners, your heart is, you're really concerned about suffering of three lower rims in your future. That is why, out of that concern, out of that fear, so I really rely on Buddha Dhamma Sangha. I will take refuge. I will rely on that. That kind of, uh, faith and convince you should show. That's called take refuge. So when you have refuge, okay, I will do this way. Now, the causes of suffering of three lower rims is my non-virtuous karmas, right? If I don't purify them, then this karma will ripen. So here, the small scope, I think one of the most important practices, purification practice. Purification practice is the one most important because causes of suffering is there too. Karma and mental afflictions, right? Two causes. When Buddha introduced Four Noble Truth, right? Truth of origin of suffering is karma and mental afflictions. Mental afflictions is too tough. It's very difficult to stop them. But at least karma we can purify. But compared with the mental affliction, karma is much easier to purify. So that is why when you really concern the suffering of three lower rims, and causes of suffering of three lower rims is your non-virtuous karmas, right? Mainly 10 non-virtuous karmas. And either in this life, either in many past life, right? We accumulate hundreds, countless of these non-virtuous karma. We have this karma still there, right? So when the circumstances arises, this karma will ripen. Then I'm going back to the three lower realms. No choice, right? I have to go straight there. Process is there. Like we have many diseases, the little cells there. Some cells they remain there, but they like a sleeping, is not active. You can live with whole life till death. Some cells somehow the condition arises, they become active, and they will take over you. That's how it is. Same like that. We have a many good karma, bad karma, all kinds of things there. So in during the lifetime, when we are dying, whatever circumstances arises, which karma, right, they affected, that will ripen, right? Which karma, the what you call the nurturing, when you are lifetime, this karma will affect it and go straight there. That's how you should, think about that. Sometimes, oh, I am Buddhist. Oh, I take refuge. Oh, I'm this. It doesn't matter, whatever you are. The karma is here. They will ripen, right? Even you are geisha, even you are monk, even you are abbot in the monastery. There's one story in I think the Lamdrim Lajao, the liberation of palm of your hand, one of the story, one of the abbot from the monastery, big monasteries, one of the abbot born into the one of the animals, right? They have this kind of story, real story. And one Rinpoche, which we call the Rinpoche means the reincarnation lamas, right? So his attendant after the Tulku passed away, his assistants, because popular, right? Many students, and his assistants, main assistants was asking to one of the great master, please, can we find his reincarnation? And then great master was saying, oh, you can just choose one young boy, who have little talented, some who quite good. We just choose that. No. He really want his own, you know, uh, rebirths, his previous Rinpoche's rebirth. If you really want his reincarnation, he said yes. Then he tell them, go to this village. He talk about one of the village. Go to this house. There's a family, father and mother names called blah, blah, blah. So they have one big mother pig. So the mother pig has a few baby pigs. There's one pig which is white color. This is your reincarnations, your gurus. When he go there, he really saw that. His parents and the name and mother pig, all that. Exactly. So, title, whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever in this life you've done something doesn't matter. Negative karma, there somehow, right? When we are dying, some kind of nurture, that karma is become more active, that will first take your life, next decision. So that is why sometimes we think, oh, I'm geisha, I'm okay, or I'm good. No, that's not going to work. It's very danger because I mentioned earlier, there's a disease cells there, right? Some cells just remain sleeping whole life. Some cells somehow this condition arises, become active, and they will take over you, right? Completely destroy your life. Same like that. That is why what's that we can do? Purify those negative karmas, always, constantly, right? That is why concerned suffering of three lower realms and all these non-virtuous karmas which you accumulate in the past, remember those again. And as many of them we don't remember, but definitely we know we accumulate lots of these negative karmas. So out of strong regret, then we need to constantly purify these negative karmas. That's the small scopes. So if you're doing like this way, then you are getting on the, small scope realization. You have that nature, feeling this, doing this practice, then you are all the way to reach the small scope realization. When you reach the small scope realization, what is benefit? At least when you live your life with this realization, will definitely helps you to stop into born into three lower realms, right? This practice helps to your next life will take you to the higher rebirths. So this purification practice are very, very important. That's why Lama Tsongkhapa already saying, right? He was stanza 18, since it is it's essential to purify their karmic defilements. So you were saying specially essential to purify. Is you saying specially essential. This is essential. One of the very important practice, purification. So when we're doing the purification, Buddha taught us we must ensure to cherish the constant application of four powers, purified through four powers, right? Four powers. So it's not just sit there and do some prostration alone. You can purify something, but it's not enough. But to completely purify it, make sure you apply four powers mentioned earlier last time, right? So these are, don't forget it. So even you do Vajrasattva practice, 35 confession Buddha practice, or many other purification practice, whatever you do, applying with the four powers, right? Four antidote powers. When you apply it, that's becoming more effective. So that's why always be remember, if you not accumulate negative karma, if you're free from negative karma, then you don't need to do it, right? As long as negative karma is there, then there's no excuse. We have to purify every time, every day. But in our monastery here, at least once a week, right? They're doing this purification practice. So these are really, really important. Otherwise, when the time we are dying, then too late. Then there's nothing, right? Then feel regret, oh, during the lifetime, I'm hanging up and down, going with this, going here, there, make my life busy with making money. Now time to go. Now time to go, I never prepare now, right? Then dying with so much guilt, so much fear, so much worry is getting worse and worse, right? Rather, you are alive, you do this practice every day, right? So that is why these are the small scope realization. That's called the realization. When you have this experience, that kind of, achieve this kind of realization, then you can say, consider yourself as a small scope practitioners, right? Then next, medium scope, which means steady Four Noble Truths, link of interdependence, right? Through that, your understanding of suffering is wholesome sufferings. I'm always thinking myself, suffering of changing, maybe the suffering of suffering, just understanding that, knowing suffering of suffering, maybe not that much if you kind of worry about your mental afflictions. Suffering of suffering, most of us, we're thinking because of food, I suffer, because of my family, I suffer. We never think I suffer because of my destructive emotions, right? Like suffering of aging, suffering of sickness, suffering of death and dying, right? Stress, depression, anxiety, all kind of this suffering. So we're always thinking, I suffer because this. Either my jobs, either my family. It's very hard to know it's come from destructive emotion. But when you're understanding suffering or pervasive conditioning as a suffering, then directly know there's no other choice, right? There's nothing to blame to any condition there. Is suffering or pervasive condition is direct causes your negative karmas, right? There's nothing, any food don't make this suffering or pervasive conditioning. Your job is not going to make that. Your family cannot make, right? All of this, there's nothing to blame. It's just generally why I have these contaminated aggregates, right? Why I have these contaminated aggregates? There's nothing, only my past karma. Only go that way, right? There's no any, because of my family, because of my job, there's nothing to blame to anybody. So when we know suffering or pervasive conditioning as a suffering, I think that helps to directly, oh, now my karma and my destructive emotion is relative directly for that. So that's how it helps to understand that I really need to get rid of my destructive emotions. Otherwise, I can constantly accumulate negative karma. Then I will constantly circle in samsara, right? Suffering of pervasive conditioning. That's why I'm a first truth of suffering, truth of origin of suffering. I always telling you, just say, oh yeah, it's truth of suffering. And truth of origin is just a word. That's not enough. That's not going to work. Sometimes people may misunderstand it. I know for the truth, truth of suffering, truth of origin of suffering, truth of cessation of suffering, truth of truth parts. We just know the name, words, number, but that's nothing. Means mainly knowing truth of suffering means all my suffering of change, mainly suffering of pervasive conditioning as a suffering. That we need, that's knowledge, it's education, right? It's not come with a faith, it's not come with a belief system. You have to understanding why your body is contaminated, why your minds, your mental factors, we call five aggregates, right? All of those five aggregates, wow, they're contaminated, right? Having contaminated aggregates are the sufferings. So when you really knows that, then you understanding root of suffering. Till that not, right? When you're understanding suffering or pervasive conditioning as a suffering, then only why I have that? Because of my past karma, right? That's the only choice. There's nothing to blame to any others. So past karma, because of past mental afflictions. Mental afflictions accumulate karma. Right? Otherwise, if I don't have mental affliction, I will not accumulate any negative karmas, right? That's how knowing mental afflictions and contaminated karmas are the main your target. Your target is there. Small scope, your target is only non-virtuous karmas. You're really concerned that. Medium scope, not only negative karma, even the causes of negative karma, which are mental afflictions. Your knowledge much better. You understand a much deeper level. You're growing education, your practice, before only the karma your target, right? Negative karmas. Medium scope, your target is also mental afflictions, right? That kind of knowledge. How you know? Through the Four Noble Truth, through the 12 link of interdependence. That philosophy helps you to understand suffering is much bigger now. Not only three lower limb suffering, whole samsara is suffering, right? And causes is much bigger. Not only karma, also whole mental afflictions. So Four Noble Truth and 12 link of interdependence philosophy helps to understand. Through that, now your wish is changed. Before only three lower rim suffering. Now your wish is you concern entire samsara, right? Entire samsara's sufferings. Because even I born into human beings, in that human beings, if I accumulate negative karma, next life I will go down to the same three lower sufferings, right? So wherever born into samsara is suffering. So your concerns is whole samsara, right? Then these samsara created by karma and mental afflictions. That's why, as long as living under the influence of karma and mental affliction, you will suckle in samsara, right? That's why seeking oneself, liberation, liberation, which is nothing outside there, something. It's simple. Right now, your mind it's polluted, covered by those mental afflictions, right? Negative karmas. Liberation means you clean it up. You purify all these mental afflictions, all these karmas. That cessation of mental affliction, the freedom of your mind, the mental afflictions is liberation, right? Liberate now you. Liberate from samsara, which means actually you liberate from your mental afflictions, right? When you liberate from mental affliction, you are free. So that is why your target is mental afflictions. Now I need to get rid of this. That's why what they're doing is medium scope. You concern wholesome sufferings and focus specific, the fundamental causes, your mental afflictions, negative karmas, right? That's why you are looking, wish to achieve the freedom, the cessations of this mental affliction, which is the liberation. So you have always, day or night, constantly wish to achieve that liberation. That's called renunciation, right? This is the medium scope's method practice, method aspect of the practice, renunciation, right? So when you have that's why the renunciation accumulate through understanding Four Noble Truths toward link of interdependence, right? This knowledge helps to grow your renunciation. So when you have renunciation, so wish to achieve liberation, what you're going to do, right? What you're going to do, you adopt three higher training. So three higher training is called higher training of moral discipline, higher training of concentration, and higher training of wisdom. Higher training is the path, is the tool, path, which take you to the liberation, right? So the small scope, your main concern is to purify the negative karmas, accumulate the merits, right? So your focus is purification, all the non-virtuous karmas, accumulate the virtues. They're mainly, this is the one who helps you to born into your next life, higher rebirth. That's why small scopes, right? The medium scope is what your concern is, all the samsara sufferings, right? You knowing all the samsara sufferings. So you have strong renunciation. So wish to achieve freedom of mental afflictions, right? Liberation you want to achieve. So that wish, when you have just wish to achieve liberation alone, you'll not achieve, right? You want to become a rich. Doesn't mean you become a rich, right? You want to win the lottery. Doesn't mean you will going to win the lotteries, right? So you want to have one of the best job. Doesn't mean you will going to get the one with best job. So to wish to achieve liberation alone, renunciation alone, you will not achieve liberation. So that's why, in order to achieve liberation, what you need to do, you need to cut each of these mental afflictions, right? In order to cut the mental affliction, who can help you? Three higher training: the training of moral discipline, higher training of concentration, finally, wisdom, right? The wisdom is the one who will directly cut. That's why you adopting three higher training, you know your target is your mental affliction. Every practice you do is for get rid of your mental afflictions. But you have a clear spot there. Target is very clear now. My target is my mental affliction. Nothing to do with any other people. There's nothing to do with this. So any practice, morning awaken, morning meditation, even I offering the small flowers, incense, all of these things for sake of get rid of my destructive emotion, right? That's how renunciation is. Every your movement, every your practice is you apply for get rid of your mental affliction. That kind of lifestyle, that kind of intention, if you have always every day, then you achieve the uh, a medium scope of realization. You reach that level, right? Till that not. So that is why what I means these small scope and medium scopes practice for the beginner very very important. Sometimes we ignore that, and we all the way looking down there, Dzogchen, Mahamudra, or blah blah blah, just high names there, something there, something. It is completely what you call without having foundation. This is not going to work. Of course, it doesn't mean it's rubbish. Of course, it accumulates some merits. Of course, it accumulates some kind of seed. You plant it, right? Each of higher practice you do, you study, you visualize, it's planting the seed. But achievement is impossible, right? When you go with the achievement level, then you have to start it from there. And now, without achieving, you're not going to put your distracted emotions. That's why sometimes people may think, well, I'm not saying you don't touch all of these higher. You can study, you can do it, right? It at least helps you to plant the seed, to make connection with this practice, right? To cultivate the karma for future. But more emphasize in your level where you are right now. Where are you stuck? With which, realization you're stuck? You focus more there to get this. If you have a problem with middle way, middle school's education, if you do not know, you study the high school's educations, you can learn a little bit, but your focus is first to fix what kind of, doubt you have in the middle way schools education. First, to understand that perfectly. Then you jump into next, right? Realization is like that. So therefore, more put effort to this. Even during the morning, if you do the Vajrayana practice, some of you may do some Vajrayana, during the recitation, the mantra, right? Even when you do the Vajrayana practice, you can see the first comes Guru devotions, always there. Guru devotion, which is like a deity. If you do Vajrayogini practice, Tara, anything, seeing Vajrayogini or Tara as your gurus, inseparably one, right? The definitive guru is Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is the definitive gurus. And Dharmakaya shows manifest variety different objects, like variety aspects. So one aspect as ordinary beings who can teach me, who can guide me. One aspect as a deity aspect who can help me to bless me to achieve. So one aspect is shown as a Dhamma protector aspect who can protect my Dhamma. So all the variety aspects come from Dharmakaya. And that's my definitive gurus. But that's how you see all of them in one and different aspects, right? That's how you make your guru devotion practice, even Vajrayana, when you're doing. And then there are 7 limb practices and all kinds of things around there. Then finally, when you're doing the self-generation, if you're doing, of course, generating oneself as a deity out of bodhicitta, they're already before the practice we start bodhicitta, right? Then wisdom of emptiness. So recognizing one's own mind as an empty, right? You remain in Dharmakaya, right? In emptiness. And then that wisdom, that realization, then manifest as a deities, right? That's called self-generation, right? Then during the recitation of mantra, you practice all the lamrim, right? You're reciting the mantra, only visualize something like rather during the recitation of mantra, renunciation practice, small scope practice, death meditation, renunciation, bodhicitta, all kind of things you can apply there, right? It's huge benefit. Okay, now leave it here. Now we go to the actual text here, stanza 21. Semje tekjo lamje shungshin de, labjen chebo namje shita ten, tsoni kuna seju zitabu rajan gezo tube senam tel. Tetar shene jese pawo nam, rinche semcho tudam tils to see nature nyeta nyamne titarki tagyo kekang tishin tangse los, which means generating the mind is the center axle of the supreme vehicle path. It's the foundation and the support of all expensive deeds. Maybe expensive deeds or extensive deeds. Maybe you can go both. To all instance of true accumulation, it is like the elixir of gold. Elixir of gold. It is the treasury of merits containing myriads collections of virtues. Recognizing these truths, the hero bodhisattvas uphold the precious supreme mind as a heart of their practice. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. So, generating the mind, which is the bodhicitta, right? Generating the mind, here the mind, which is the bodhicitta mind, awakening mind, is the center axle of the supreme vehicle path. So bodhicitta is the main, the essence, right? Practice, like a pillar of the Mahayana Buddhism, like a vehicle, great vehicle path, right? Mahayana paths. So bodhicitta is like a pillar. So center axle of the supreme vehicle path, supreme vehicle, which is called Mahayana, right? Mahayana vehicle as a great vehicle path. It is the foundation and support to all expensive deeds. So it is the foundation, right? It is the foundation and the support of all expensive deeds. Expensive, I'm not sure it's exactly that. Maybe it's mainly what is this called bodhisattva's deeds, right? 6 parameters and all these kind of things are called expensive deeds. So bodhicitta is the foundation of all the bodhisattva's deeds, right? 6 parameters, expensive deeds, and support of all the expensive deeds. So all the 6 parameters, right, or bodhisattva's deeds are expand, they're saying. So mainly this word, which means I mentioned earlier, right, bodhisattva's deeds. So the bodhicitta is the foundation and the support of all the bodhisattva's deeds, right? Which are the 6 parameters. So to grow, what you call the so which means the 6 parameters practice, to grow, to successful, develop, everything's depend on bodhicitta. If you have a very strong bodhicitta, rest of the 6 parameters practice become more strong, more effective, right? To grow the 6 parameters practice, to remain stable, it's fully depend on bodhicitta. That is why it's called it is the foundation and the support of all the uh, uh, expensive deeds. So the great deeds or magnificent deeds, bodhisattva's deeds. To all instance of true accumulation, it is like the elixir of gold. So which means to all instance of true accumulations. So two accumulation, which is the merit and the wisdom, right? The accumulations of the merit and accumulations of the wisdom. So when we're saying collection, the collections of merit, collections of the wisdom. So it's a little bit different than the wisdom itself, the collections of wisdom, which means it's kind of the merit, the virtues, virtues which accumulate through the method aspect of the path, like for instance, out of compassion, bodhicitta, when you're doing prostration or something, that's called the collections of merits, right? Out of wisdom of emptiness, out of wisdom of impermanence, right? When you accumulate merits, so all those merits called the collections of the wisdom. Understand these two different kinds of the merits, right? One is the merit which is accumulated through method aspect of the practice. One virtue which is accumulated through wisdom aspect of the practice, right? Out of when you meditate on wisdom of emptiness, impermanence, when you meditate on emptiness, all those merit you accumulate is called the collections of the wisdom. These kind of merits becoming unique causes of dharmakaya. When you meditate on bodhicitta and compassion, these are called collections of the merit, which is unique, becoming unique causes of rupakaya, right? The form bodies. That's why they call the two accumulations, right? Wisdom collection and the merit collections. It is like an elixir of the gold. So which means bodhicitta makes your merits becoming unique causes of enlightenment Buddhahood. Who make it? By bodhicitta, right? For instance, when you, without bodhicitta, out of renunciation, when you are offering the flowers to the Buddha, all those merit becoming causes of liberation, not causes of Buddhahood, right? Out of bodhicitta, when you're offering the flower, that merit becoming unique causes of Buddhahood. So who made these merits becoming causes of enlightenment, Buddhahood, is the bodhicitta. But that is why it's like an elixir of the gold, right? When you put this elixir on any metals, they turn into the gold, right? Similarly, out of bodhicitta, all the merits are turning into unique causes of enlightenment, Buddhahood. That's why to all instance of the two accumulation, it is like the elixir of gold, right? It's like that. It's the treasury of merits containing myriad collections of the virtues. So having bodhicitta, bodhicitta is like a treasury of the merits. When you have bodhicitta, constantly it's accumulating the merits, right? Constantly. Your merits becoming multiplying, right? Just having bodhicitta is kind of source of the merits. So that's what I call it's the tertiary of the merit containing myriad collections of the virtues. So it's variety type of the virtues, can accumulate out of bodhicitta anything. Your prostration, reciting the mantras, anything you're doing, it's multiplying the merits, and all of these variety merits becoming unique causes of Buddhahood, enlightenment. That is why it is the treasury of merits containing myriad collections of virtues. Recognizing these truths and hero bodhisattvas uphold the precious supreme mind as a heart of their practice. That is why bodhisattvas, they know this bodhicitta is how important, how much benefit. That is why bodhisattvas upholding precious supreme mind, which is bodhicitta. It's called the precious supreme mind, which means the bodhicitta. So the bodhicitta as a heart of their practice. So that bodhisattvas, the main practice is bodhicitta. They're holding this bodhicitta like a heart of the practice because they know all of those benefit, right? All of those benefit, it's originate from bodhicitta. That's why they're always holding supreme, precious, supreme mind, right? Which means the bodhicitta, awakening mind, as the heart of their practice. Therefore, I, the Lama Tsongkhapa, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. He himself practicing bodhicitta as a heart, always. And you who aspire for liberation, also too should do likewise. So you also wants to here the aspire for liberation, liberate from afflictive and cognitive obscuration, both, right? In the medium scope, liberation which is aspire for liberation, which is liberation of mental afflictions, right? For the small scope, you can say aspire for liberation, which is liberate from three lower sufferings, right? That's how you can add it. So now this two stanza 21 and 22, which is talking about the benefit of bodhicitta, right? What is the benefit of bodhicitta? If you go detail, what you call the in the Lamrim Chemo, which they usually is talking about 10 benefit, right? The bodhicittas. Then even you go to the Guide of Bodhisattva Way of Life, the text which by Shantideva, I think the first chapter is the benefit of bodhicitta. So detail, if you want to know, you just read that first chapter. So understanding the advantages of bodhicitta will tremendous helps you. I really wants to cultivate bodhicitta. I want to achieve bodhicitta in this precious human life because this is the life which you have right now, one of the most luckiest life, right? Because not being born into a precious human life, you encounter with the Mahayana Buddhism, not just Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhisms, right? We're studying what is bodhicitta, what is the benefit of bodhicitta, how should we generate bodhicitta, everything, you learn. And this is the life you have right now. And if you put it, what you learn, if you really sacrifice your life for this, definitely you can achieve bodhicitta in this life, but no doubt. If you really put effort, to achieve this bodhicitta, where you learn how to develop bodhicitta, if you put effort, you can achieve this. This is the life who has the potential, full power to achieve bodhicitta. Problem is, we not that much apply the practice. We not that much put effort to achieve bodhicitta because we do not understanding this bodhicitta is how important they are, right? How much benefit they are. So that is why lack of understanding the advantages of bodhicitta, we do not have that much wish and aspiration and a wish to cultivate bodhicitta. Not having enough wish to cultivate bodhicitta, we cannot put our effort to the bodhicitta. That's why we're not achieving bodhicitta. Just talk to yourself, think about yourself, how many times you put your life for cultivate bodhicitta in each day. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. How many times you're trying to cultivate bodhicitta? You should question yourself, right? You know that. If you're not that much putting effort to there, that means you really do not know that much benefit. So how many minutes you put effort to exercise, right? Every day. How many minutes you put effort to walk outside, right? All of these things. Then now how many minutes you put effort to cultivate bodhicitta. So sometime our health And the bodhicitta, maybe our health is more important than bodhicitta, right? We're more taking care than health than bodhicitta. So all of this because of lack of understanding. That is why, you should read the uh, first chapter, right? The Guide of Bodhisattva Way of Life. And the first chapter is the benefit of bodhicitta. So read again and again to feel like I really need to achieve this mind in this life. Because all the conditions you have, all the favorable conditions, you have these things. One of the most important things is to encounter with the Mahayana Buddhism, right? So Mahayana Buddhism, this is more difficult. And not only encounter Mahayana Buddhism, really studying how to do that, what it is. Sometimes we are engaged the Mahayana Buddhism, it's just simple prayer, very surface level, but not a really practically study. So here you are studying these things, right? That kind of life, very rare, very rare. Among the Mahayana practitioners, only a very small population can put the effort for study. Majority, not at all, not at all. So that's why you should think about, I'm very, my past life, something done, special kind of karma to this life, I can able to study. Now I put something more effort to this life, try to experience, achieve this bodhicitta, right? That's why first learning how to cultivate the benefit of bodhicitta, right? So these two stanzas you think can always be, there's one stanza in Light of Bodhisattvas. It's very kind of similar like here. It is like the supreme gold making elixir, for it transforms the unclean body we have taken into the priceless jewels of the Buddha's form. Therefore, firmly seize this awakening mind. Guide of Bodhisattva Way of Life, the first chapter, was saying, it is like a supreme gold making elixir. Bodhicitta is like that. Supreme gold making. What is that gold? Gold is inert body. So here saying, for it transforms is the unclean body we have taken into the priceless jewels of Buddha's form. Who can transform that? Bodhicitta. Therefore, firmly seize this awakening mind, this bodhicitta, right? Awakening minds. So bodhicitta, like for instance, one of the past life of the Buddha, right? One time he fall down into hell realms, right? He was in hell realms, and he's pulling this whatever these big things behind. I don't know how to call. It's from the charity or something. So he and his partner, there's two. So they're pulling this. So his partner is very fragile, cannot pull. Behind there, the people are beating them, pull this. So partner is falling down. He feels so much compassion. Even himself is suffering, but his friend here is very much suffering. He concerned their suffering, and he told to the person, he said, please leave him alone. I will myself pull everything. But that kind of compassion, the bodhicitta he has. Just feel that compassion, instantly his life is, from he separated from hell realm beings to born into the human beings, right? To take the karma weapon, then instantly born into there. So this is power of the bodhicitta, or the power of bodhicitta. One of Buddha, when he was ordinary beings, practicing on bodhicitta. So how much it helps directly save from the hell realms. And these stories are Buddha, he himself told this story, one of the sutras. So that's why it's like here is saying it is like the supreme gold maker elixir. This bodhicitta is like that. Absolutely transform your life into enlightened beings. Bodhisattva's life, right? Then Arya Bodhisattvas. Then finally, enlightened. Who will take you there? Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is like a vehicle, who can takes you there. So that's why Mahayana practitioner, this is very, very important to understand and always be feel that definitely I will going to achieve this bodhicitta in this life, right? That kind of wish through understanding the advantages. Then now actual how should cultivate bodhicitta? It's not here. I think in that chapter or that stanza, we need to put everything, whole Lamrim, extensive Lamrim practice, we have to put it this condensed. So in their implicity, how to cultivate bodhicitta, according to the Lamrim tradition, there are two different traditions, right? That's why when we reciting the prayer, in Lamrim lineage prayer, first we pray to Buddha, right? Second, we pray to Manjushri and Maitreya Buddha. Then third stanza, the prayer to Nagarjuna and Arya Asanga, right? The prayer we do. So that means the bodhicitta, where Buddha taught first, the root text is Pranjaparamita Sutra, right? Pranjaparamita Sutra, the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, the second wheel of Dharma, where Buddha taught in Vulture Peak, right? In what you call the Rajgiri, the place called, where he turned the second wheel of Dharma. This is the root text. So these root texts explicitly he talk about ultimate bodhicitta, right? Wisdom of emptiness. Implicitly talking about conventional bodhicitta, the bodhicitta which we're talking about right now, right? So explicitly emptiness, ultimate bodhicitta, implicitly conventional bodhicitta, all the parts, method, aspect of the practice. When you read it, Heart Sutra, right? Long time ago, I teach Heart Sutra in our center. So explicitly, it's all talking about emptiness, right? Based on the 5 aggregates, 12 link of interdependence, of what you call the 6 6 faculties. Like each of them, they're talking about emptiness, right? Then implicitly, they're talking about the path. So these teaching, when they divide it into 5 different sections, which means accumulation part, preparation part, seeing part, meditation, no more learning part, right? When what do you call the paragraph of these Heart Sutras, they put it divided to the 5, which is based on the 5 parts. Then finally, Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Buddhi Soa, that mantra, right? Which is condensed the 5 parts. Gate first, accumulation. Second Gate, preparation part. Third Paragate, seeing part. And fourth, Parasamgate, meditation part. Buddhi Soa, no more learning part, right? That's how the Heart Sutra. Heart Sutra is the shortest version of the Pranjaparamita Sutras, right? So that is why the Pranjaparamita Sutra is the source, the Buddha taught bodhicittas, right? Both conventional, ultimate bodhicittas. Then after the Buddha, then the disciples, when they comes, during the teaching, Maitreya and Arya Manjushris are receiving teaching directly from the Buddha, right? So Maitreya focus on the implicity of teaching, bodhicitta. Arya Manjushri focus on the explicity part of the teachings, right? That's how the 2 different lineage. One is more focused on explicity side, one is more implicities, right? But both have both things, but they emphasize more on explicity and implicities. That's how after Manjushri and Maitreya, these both are God realms. They are not human beings, right? Manjushri and Maitreyas. After Manjushri, he teach that to his student Arya Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna is human beings around second centuries. So he received his teaching from Manjushri, right? Then from Maitreya Buddha to Arya Asanga, right? It is saying in the story, Asanga all the way go to the Tushita heaven there, right? The God realms, Tushita God realm to see the Maitreya receive all these teachings. The ornament of realization we study, right? Usually this is Maitreya teaching. Maitreya not bring here. Arya Asanga, who's the body this teaching, right, from Toshitas to this earth. So the Arya Asanga received teaching from Maitreya. So that's how it goes to different lineage, all the way till Atisha Dibamkara, right? Atisha Dibamkara is around 11th centuries, late 10 and beginning of 11th centuries. He received both lineage. So through him, then it's combined, both lineage. That's how it's brought it to Tibet. So Tibetan, we got both lineage, combine these things because of Atisha Dibamkara, right? So these two lineage have different way of practice the bodhicitta, right? How to cultivate bodhicitta, each different lineage is different. So the Maitreya lineage, Arya Asanga lineage, in order to cultivate bodhicitta, it's called 7-point, right? Quite essential instruction. That's the Maitreya Buddha's lineage. How to develop bodhicitta. 7-point cause and effect instruction. Maybe that's easier way. So the 7-point cause and effect instruction, what that means 6 of them are the causes. Number 7 is the effect, the result, which is bodhicitta, right? So how to cultivate bodhicitta? Through the 6 causes. First, all sentient being as a mother, right? Then second, remember their kindness. Third, wish to repay their kindness. Fourth, affection, love, which is called mind of endearment, right? Then fifth, compassion, great compassion. Then sixth, unusual attitude. It's called special compassion, right? Through the 6 courses, then you achieve bodhicitta. That's the Maitreya lineage. So when we meditate, we have to go step by step this. And there's a reason to do this, right? Then Manjushri lineage is called equalizing and exchanging self and others instruction, right? Equalizing and exchanging self and others instruction. I think that's correct word. What that means, first, you're meditating, equalizing means right now we have a very strong selfish, self-cherishing, right? Others we ignore. So equalizing means self and others as an equal. It's like an equanimity practice, right? Equalizing. Then exchange means instead of self cherish, cherish to others. Instead of ignore others, ignore oneself. That's our switching. Usually we have self-cherishing, we ignore others. Now we need to switch that, right? Cherish others and self-ignore. Through that, you cultivate bodhicitta. That's the Manjushri lineage, right? Called lineage of profound view. That lineage called lineage of profound view. Maitreya lineage is called lineage of extensive deeds, right? So Manjushri lineage, first, equanimity practice. Second, or contemplate or thinking the disadvantages of self-centered attitude, right? Then next, advantages of cherishing others, altruistic, meditate, right? Then next, exchange, the actual exchanging, called Tonglen meditation, meditation on giving and taking, Tonglen meditation. Then after, bodhicitta, right? That's Manjushri lineage. So first, we need to know all of this in order to practice bodhicitta. It doesn't mean I just say that I wish to achieve Buddha for the sake of all beings. It's not comes that easy way. It's got to go step by steps, right? So that is why now knowing general all this meaning, like we just understanding the map, right? How to get there, all this map, you learn it. Now you go detail. Why I have to go first this, second this, third that. Then it makes sense more. Then you know, right? Bodhicittas, how it's arising. So now here, material lineage. First, what that point, the main point is, without having compassion to entire sentient beings, you cannot cultivate bodhicitta, right? Compassion is essential, the seed process of bodhicitta. You know, when you read it, what you call the Chandakirti, engaging to the middle way, right? He prays to the compassion. The beginning of the text, engaging to the middle way, the beginning of the text, he not prays to the Buddha or somebody. He prays to the compassion, right? Because he was saying compassion is the essential, the seed, of bodhicitta, of enlightenment, Buddhahood. Everything comes from there. So therefore, compassion, as a bodhicitta practitioner, we need to know how compassion is the main seed of bodhicitta, right? That's first need to know that. The reason is, when we say bodhicitta, awakening mind, bodhi means enlightenment, Buddhahood. Chitta means the mind, right? So direct translation is the mind of enlightenment, Buddhahood. That's called bodhicitta. Now, if you go detailed information, what that really means, mind of enlightenment, which means wish oneself, seeking oneself to become a Buddha for sake of all beings. So that means wish to become a Buddha is not difficult. Out of selfish, you can be that, right? Everybody, if you ask, yes, I want to be Buddha. Who wants to be Buddha? That's no problem. That we don't need to meditate, right? You can cultivate wish to become a Buddha out of selfish, out of attachments. But here, bodhicitta, wish to become a Buddha oneself for the sake of all sentient beings. The goal, the main purpose is for sake of all beings. That's the difficult part, right? Because of you wants to become a Buddha, it's because of entire sentient being, benefit to all of them, wish to save to all. So if you do not have sense of care, right, to other beings, bodhicitta is impossible, because bodhicitta is because of them, right? I want to save to entire beings from their suffering. That is why I need to become a Buddha. Otherwise, being an ordinary person, I cannot able to save others. Practically, I cannot. So in order to save them, I have to become a Buddha. Becoming Buddha is not my main goal. That's not main purpose. Main purpose is to save all sentient beings. Becoming Buddha is the tool. It's like a tool. When you become a Buddha, you have a tool. How can help them? That kind of mindset we needed, right? Bodhicitta means that type of mindset. So that's showing without compassion to entire sentient beings, bodhicitta is impossible. It's not there's no even what you call the possible, to achieve anything like that. So that is why the unique causes of bodhicitta is compassion. But the compassion is, what does that mean? Compassion means you wish others be free from suffering. That kind of desire or compassion, right? It's inside there, it's not out. Your mind is, you really wish, like a mother, when she saw her child, she always feel, I wish my child be one of the best. I wish my child be one of the most success, right? I wish my child be free from all suffering. That type of desire to entire sentient beings, either your enemies, your friends, your families, doesn't matter. That kind of wish for compassion, right? It's not easy. It's really difficult to feel that. So, in order to feel that kind of wish, first you ask your question. I can feel this to my friends and family quite easier, right? That wish. For my enemies, the people I don't like them, very difficult to feel that, wish them to be free from suffering. Why it is difficult to my enemies? Why it is a little bit easier to my friends and the families, right? When they investigate, they found it because friends and the family, you feel close, mental, not physical, we're talking about. Mentally, you feel close to them. That is why it's easy to feel compassion. Your enemies, mentally, you feel very distant. So when your mind is very distant to them, it's hard to feel compassion to them. That is why Buddha and Maitreya lineage masters are saying, oh, unique causes of compassion is mind of endearment, affection love. That's called affection love. Mind of endearment, which means close, dear to them, right? Feel close. Without that, you cannot feel compassion. Sometimes people may emotionally, you just feel compassion. When you see the people suffering, you can feel compassion. This is emotion level. It's not reliable. Really feeling is when your heart is really touched to them, then you feel really easy to feel compassion. That's why unique causes of compassion is mind of endearment. So now, how should I cultivate mind of endearment? How should I feel close to them, right? Because of that reason, the three different meditation, Maitreya lineage. First, all sentient being as your mother. Remember their kindness. Wish to repay their kindness. Through these three meditation, you can able to touch your heart to others. So it means why they talk about the mother specific, because mother kindness is much easier to understand, right? As a children, as a child, mother's kindness is one of the most easiest. That is why first you think about not only my present mother being my mom, she been my mom in the past many times, right? Because my life and her life is beginningless. Then my parents, like my families, they also been my mother in the past countless times because their life and my life is also beginningless, right? Then you go to the neutral beings. They also been my mother. This time we don't have connection, but these people also been my mother in the past. Same reason. Finally, apply to enemies, the people you really don't like them. These are also been my mother in the past countless time, right? Same reason. Finally, you apply to entire sentient beings, all of them being my mom countless times. The reason is because of my life and their lives are beginningless. That's a very powerful reason. Beginningless, what that means? That means there's no beginning, right? No beginning, which means it's countless, our past life, right? Countless. Like one person He been my mother not only one time, countless times, because his and my life is same, beginningless. So that's the person who do not understanding on rebirth, who don't understanding on beginningless theory, made difficult to practice on this, all my mother sentient beings, difficult. That's why first study beginningless. What that mean? It's mentally, it makes sense to you. It's you getting or not. That's very important. Finally, when the things clicks you, then easy. Everybody, all of them been my mom countless times, right? That's why first, all sentient beings, your mother. You analyze, you think, you apply logic, you meditate. I can tell your heart, it's fully convinced that, feel that, right? Experience this. Then next, remember mother's kindness, right? And this time from mother womb to all this kindness. Think again and again, there's lots of kindness, right? So then apply to others, finally, entire sentient beings, when they were my mother, they also show exactly that same kindness, right? Meditate, think again until your mind is fully accepted and experiencing that. Then next step is wish to repay their kindness. I've been received so much benefit. Now I want to give back to them. Just wish to repay their kindness, right? Meditate again, till you really feel that. Then next, affection, love, mind of endearment. It automatically comes. Affection, love is when you think about these three meditation, your mind is already feel, connecting to all of them. Like they're all like my family. You touch your heart to all of them. That's why it's called mind of endearments. Feel dear to all of them, seeing them as a lovable, right? That's called mind of affection, love. Then next, when you close so much touch like your own children, you seeing everybody has these sufferings. You learn from renunciation practice, apply to your suffering, right? Through the renunciation, samsara suffering, suffering of three lord, all this suffering you have, exactly same, all of them has these kind of suffering. Specific suffering of pervasive conditioning, I mentioned, not just suffering of aging, sickness, not enough. Very good. Just think that alone is not enough. Suffering of pervasive conditioning as a suffering. That every being has, from God realm to hell realms. Everybody suffers, right, by suffering of pervasive conditioning. Seeing all this suffering, then you really wish each and all of them be free from suffering. That's how it's called compassion, right? You feel, it's not just thinking, your heart is, you really wish entire beings from, all of them free from these sufferings, compassion. Then next, just wish them free from suffering is not enough. Before you saying, I will, right, wish to repay their kindness. That meditation, what they're going to give you, self-responsibility. I will going to save them. Not just wish, like a mother, when her child suffer, mother take full responsibility. Not just I wish my child suffering, free from suffering. She take full, I will going to save my child. Same like that, wish to save entire beings from sufferings and the causes of suffering. That's called unusual attitude, different than compassion. It's part of compassion, more powerful. Compassion is just wish them free from suffering, right? Unusual attitude is wish to save them. And that unusual attitude specific causes is wish to repay their kindness, right? The previous you meditate, wish to repay their kindness helps to take self-responsibility, right? Then when you feel, I will going to save them, then you ask, how can I save them? Myself is still circling in samsara. Practically, I cannot able to save, right? So in order to save them, what I need to do, I need to achieve Buddhahood. Then I can able to save, like a Buddha Shakyamuni. So many beings he saved, right? And constantly saving right now, right? Since Buddha came to right now, how many beings achieve Buddhahood? How many beings achieve Arya being, Arhat beings? So many. So if I become a Buddha, I can able to save all of them. Through that reason, then you meditate, wish to become a Buddha oneself. Main purpose of become a Buddha is to save all beings. That's called bodhicitta, right? That's how this practice goes step by steps. So this is Maitreya lineage of how to cultivate bodhicitta. So learn and try to meditate for each stage's practice to feel something, right? Then your next becoming more effective. So previous practice you do, next one's becoming more powerful, more effective. Then there is a chance to real achievement, not just put the imprints. Of course, listening, studying, thinking, all of them helping us to put imprints, plant the seeds, right? Finally, when you put it into the practice, then those seeds ripen, right? Slowly, slowly. Then finally, achieve these things. So when you achieve the bodhicitta, then I think rest of those practice may be much easier. Bodhicitta can, fight to any obstacle arises, he can fight it. He can combat these things. So that is why till achieve bodhicitta, we need to put efforts. So this is the today kind of the benefit of bodhicitta and how to generate bodhicitta in Maitreya lineage. Then we appreciate Maitreya Buddha, Arya Asanga, how they are important. Because of them, today we can able to study these things, right? So it's kind of the faith, respect to those great teachers, master. It's a very different way, and not just great master or blessing, but understanding their teachings and understanding their knowledge. And through that, we appreciate the turning the wheel of Dharma, right? Teaching this, holding this practice. So that's called real master. Real master means the master who holds this and he spread this teaching, right? For the generation to generations. Otherwise, just little things, blah, 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 and all kind of magic or something, whatever thing, it's just temporary. To compare with them, there's nothing to do with these things. So that's why, beginning of that teaching, we pray to the Buddha Shakyamuni, Arya Manjushri, and Maitreya, Nagarjuna, and Arya Sangha, these masters, and finally Atisha Dipamkara, right? So through understanding on their kindness of holding and teaching these Dharma, then our connection to these masters very different way. Something real student and teachers relationships. That's how we connecting to our lineage masters. That's how we receive these blessings from those masters. Okay, we're going to stop here. So now maybe next we're going to finish the Manjushri lineage of how to cultivate bodhicitta. But the detail you can look it in the Lamrim Chemo, right? Lamrim Chemo, the Tapas Lamrim, and also the Liberation of Palm of Your Hand by Pamboga Rinpoche also have very detail of these both teachings, both lineage teachings. Today I just give you little information, and you read furthermore in these two. They're only 4 or 5 pages, not long, just 4 or 5 pages. Read this slowly, and make sure you can put it in your brain like make some connected, right? Each of this comfortable. Oh, this, yes, this. Then when you put it into the practice, very comfortable. If each of these practice remain like disconnecting each other, not connecting, then when you put it into the practice, very difficult. So that's why first you're hearing and, oh yes, now it makes sense, this. Then you're reading again. Eventually you feel so comfortable with this. It really makes sense this practice. Then when you meditate, it's much easier, more effective, right? That's how study reading these texts constantly. Now, each time when you listen, each time when you read it, each time when you hear this teaching, even in the sutra saying, just hearing, just listening, just thinking on this can accumulate so much merits, right? Purifying so much negative karmas, even because of this bodhicitta is how important practice is. So that's why reading these books can also not only benefit for your practice, even that benefit to accumulate merits. Okay, thank you. Maybe I can leave. It's already 8:40. So 5-minute question answer if you have. Last time I didn't leave the question also. Don't have time. If you really something doubt, otherwise we just go to the dedication prayers. Something disagree, something what you call a doubt, and then discussion may helps. Of course, leave the what you call the okay then. Okay, if you don't have any questions, then we'll do the dedication prayer. The dedication prayers are in your booklet. Through these merits, may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdued, and free of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, but perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Samsara and nirvana lack even an atom of true existence, while cause and effect and dependent arisings are infallible. I seek your blessing to discern the imports of Nagarjuna's thought that these two are complementary and not contradictory. May the questions in sublime bodhicitta not yet born be born, and that which has been born not decline, but increase forever. In the snowy mountain paradise, you are the source of good and happiness, powerful things in terms of generosity. May you stay until samsara ends. Okay. Thank you. Have a very good night.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe-la.